Hi, my name is Cheryl Camarillo, and I just wanted to address some of the things that people say when they say, "Why haven't they gone to counseling?" And so there's a variety of reasons, and I just wanted to try to go through each one and maybe come up with an alternative way of looking at something so that maybe you'd be able to move past not starting yet. So I'm going to go to the other page and let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I think I'm going to have to do this a little bit like this. Okay. So the first one is time constraints. I don't have enough time in my schedule right now. So what does that mean? Um, let's be real. It takes at least a minimum of 30 minutes to get to wherever your therapist is at. And then you have the hour in the therapist office. And if they're running late, maybe 5 minutes, hopefully not running late at all. And then taking 15 to 30 minutes to get back to your workplace. If you live in a big location, a metro area, it might take longer than just the 15 to 30 minutes. So I just wanted to, address that. Yes, it does take time. And sometimes even the times of days might be very limited when you're trying to work with a specific type of counselor. So it's always good to kind of get an idea up front of how the scheduling usually works for this particular counselor, whether it's more evenings, whether it's more weekends. So let's see here. The next, the next thing that gets voiced is financial concerns. I can't afford the cost of therapy sessions. So some of the reasons that people have is definitely because of that. But there are actually ways to look for counseling in your community. Perhaps you have a community mental health center. There's always ways to look for counselors online that do telehealth, and there's usually a variety of cost involved. So whether it's an issue of finances, you might be able to look for someone that's able to do sliding scale fee. So the third reason that someone might give for not starting counseling is that there's a stigma to it. I'm worried that I'm worried about what others will think about me if they find out that I've been going to counseling. You're gonna when you start talking to other people, you're gonna realize that there's some people who are also struggling and also seek out counseling. And so it just depends on once you start and you develop that rapport and trust with a therapist, you start to feel more comfortable. You're gonna realize that um, you know most families have had some reason to go into counseling, whether it's one of the family members or maybe it's the couple, maybe it's the children. It could be a variety of reasons. So um, the the fourth reason is that there's the doubt about effectiveness. I'm not sure if counseling will actually help me because I'm a little bit more complicated, or this issue is just not such a big deal. So um, I have to let you know that there's like a variety of things out there. You might start with a counselor and decide, oh, this isn't really helpful to me. And you give it 3, 4 sessions and still don't feel that. You might want to think about trying another counselor. And I always like people to consider scheduling a consultation. Sometimes a counselor will provide 10 or 15 minutes to discuss up front what's needed, and if there might be a possible good fit before the first appointment is scheduled. So that's always a possibility. So think about looking at that. And you'll know a lot of times once you talk with that therapist, if this is going to be somebody that you feel like you can build trust with and that you can actually get some resources or some um, options or opportunities, something that's going to help you with whatever issue you have, whether it's that you have a child with ADHD and you don't know what to do about school, or whether you're a person that has sex addiction or problems with other kinds of addictions. I'm a sex addiction therapist and a sexologist. So a lot of my counseling sessions have to do with that area. I work with people that have betrayal trauma, or which is the partners that have had someone that's cheating. So I also work with a lot of sexual trauma because that requires a special type of counselor and a special type of training. So the fifth area is fear of vulnerability. Now this one, I can totally relate to. I'm not ready to open up about my feelings and the past experiences. There's a reason these things stay in the past. I've already dealt with it. I've closed that up. I can cope pretty well. When I think about it, I don't cry. Like those are good you know, lines for you to look at to say, how are things going with myself and some of the things that have happened in the past. But sometimes just because you're able to kind of reduce the amount of stress that you have from the situation doesn't mean that it's not currently impacting you in some alternative way. So something from childhood, I guess a good example would be the person who remembers every time they could hear their father's car come around the corner, and how everybody had to run to position somewhere in the house so that they wouldn't be there when their father came in, possibly having drank. I can remember, um, just having a specific incident when I was in elementary school, and how that seemed to have impacted my ability to speak in public. And it was amazing to me that once I realized where this anxiety that I had about that was coming from, then I started realizing, wow, there's so many things that you have no idea are impacting you in the present. And if you talk about it, and if you get some special types of counseling services, a lot of times you can alleviate that. So that's one of the best parts about going to counseling, is having that as an option to try to clear up some of the stuff from the past completely. The sixth area is self-sufficiency. I can handle my problems without anybody else's help. So that, you know, I'm pretty stubborn, and I can remember those first 40 years of my life thinking, gosh, um, as I get older and older, I feel like I get wiser and wiser, and I think I already have the answers to some of these things. But that's just something that we tell ourselves, and it's not necessarily um, accurate, but you don't know until someone else tells you, right? Maybe a friend says something to you about how you're coping, and you thought you were coping just well. So being able to hear feedback from others, maybe noticing that even though you say you're feeling better, you still have some leftover feelings or thoughts about things. So um, the next one is about past experiences. I had a bad experience with therapy before, so I am hesitant to try again. I'm sorry, my screen is off here to the side and it's just like all over the place. But anyway, it's my outline. So anyway, I have heard people say, I went to a therapist and I felt like things got worse. I always recommend it, if you feel that way, go and talk to that therapist and find out, if there was, misunderstanding, because maybe what was said was only partially said and you need more information or more education, or truly maybe that particular therapist is not the right one for you. So I can't tell you, in sex addiction therapy and working with couples, there are so many people that have experienced going to counselors and not understanding why they actually feel worse. And I will say that people will say they feel worse in couple sessions in the very beginning and fear going to the sessions. But by the end of, 2 or 3 sessions, there's a high level of rapport. There's a high level of trust, because we've been working on some truly difficult issues. And so it's easier to work through, and easier to also start looking at things and having a little bit more of a relaxed um, pace. So, okay, let's see. Uncertainty about the process. So, I don't know what to expect in therapy, and that makes me anxious. Well, I can tell you that I have anxiety and there's so many things that make me anxious, but I can also understand going in for the first time, I would see people kind of like doing this and kind of like, waiting to find out like, what am I going to talk about? I don't know how to start this session, Miss Cheryl. And, I just really encourage you to kind of sit back and, start sharing information, answering questions, you asking questions, getting a chance to help the therapist understand what's going on with you, so that there's a clear picture of what the problem is. There's an opportunity to set up a clear set of goals with an expected outcome, as you move through therapy. Um, I think the other thing is sometimes people say, "Oh, I know how this works. I'm going to go into counseling and I'm going to be going to counseling forever." And that's not necessarily true either. And that's always a conversation that's you're welcome to approach the therapist about. And of course, they're going to give the vague answer, "Well, I don't really know." But again, I want to let you know that sometimes it's a couple of sessions. Sometimes you're seeing a person for a couple of years on a weekly basis or biweekly basis. I like some of my clients to go, weekly for a shorter period of time and then go every other week as they're learning the new skills. And then if things are looking pretty well, shifting down to once a month. And if things are going really well there, just being able to say, "Give me a call the next time you're having any kind of struggles and you're having a difficulty figuring things out yourself. I'm always available for you." So that's one of the things that's really helpful, is that you feel like it's okay for me to come back once I've left therapy. So um, let's see. I'm feeling too overwhelmed to even think about starting counseling. Mm, I've had some people that just get really um, overwhelmed and um, start thinking about all the hundreds of things that go into the problem that you're trying to get help for, and you overwhelm yourself. And I just want to encourage you to think about just doing one tiny step. The tiny step is make the appointment. Then the next tiny step is, you know, showing up, and then just authentically, genuinely letting people know what's going on with yourself and not feeling like you have to show up in a specific way. So, ay, ay, ay. I have a cat here that just won't get out of my way. Okay, the last one is procrastination. It's I'll think about it and maybe I'll start next month. Man, how many things have we said that about in our lives? Whether it's I'm going to, I'm going to take care of the laundry and it takes a week to even get it started, or I'm going to go back to school and you wait year, one passes, year two passes, year three passes. So procrastination is very real. Just going to say that I am also a member of the procrastination club, and I've learned a lot of things that have helped me learn to move past the waiting and holding off on things and just actually moving forward. So those are some of the things that I've heard from people when they talk about like starting counseling and what they expect or what their preconceived ideas are about the situation. So um, why aren't you starting counseling? And do you need counseling? So sometimes just showing up at the counselor's office and starting the conversation will let you know whether or not you have something that needs to be addressed. So, anyway, I do have in the description below a free webinar on betrayal trauma. I've been working with women that are experiencing the pain of, living with a partner that's had affairs or a variety of different ways of cheating. And I also work with the person that's got the difficulties. So I have men's groups, I have women's groups, I do individual and I do some couples work. Just depends on what is needed. And I like to just sit and talk about what are the potential ways to work on this issue. So anyway, Thank you for following, or hopefully you're going to follow. Hopefully you're going to subscribe. I have another video that's going to come up about specifically sex addiction and counseling. There's a lot of reasons that people have for not wanting to start, counseling in this area. That is a very sensitive, um, topic. So, thank you. Mhm. There you go. Bye.